I'm going to start making the video, and we'll start with new composition. And in here, we want to set this to 1080 by 1080 square pixels. We're going to have our frame rate always at 30, and for the duration, we're going to change this from 30 seconds to 15 seconds, and we'll leave the background as white right now. We might change that later, but we'll see. So that creates my brand new composition. You can see it here. I have my square in my composition window right here. So what I need to do is I need to bring in everything that I want. Some things I have to create by using the type tool or a rectangle tool here. So the couple ways I can get them into my project window here. You can see I have my composition, but if I want to add, say, like a photograph to it, I'll simply grab my photograph off my desktop, bring it in here, and drag it and release. And now that photograph is added here. If I want to bring it into my composition, what I prefer to do is drag it down into the timeline, and that will add it in here, and it'll also put it into the timeline down here. So clicking on this little arrow, I can open this up, and you will see that on this video, I'm going to Command minus to zoom out a little bit here. You can see my my photo is pretty large. So I'm going to grab this, and it reduces down from the center, and hold my shift key so it snaps. Notice that if I don't hold my shift key, it skews. We don't want that. So I'm going to reduce it just enough to get it about right there. Zoom back in, and I'm going to put this right up here. I'm doing my theme on woodworking. So this is a window box that I made and put on the front of our house. Okay, so I have my first frame here, or my first photograph here in my timeline. You'll notice that my timeline here, I can go through here and grab my timeline indicator and scrub through the video. You can see I have set our video to 15 seconds, so that's how long it will be. And now all I have to do is put all of my content in here, either pulling it in like I did, or adding it from the type tool up here, or the rectangle tool, and then I'll show you how to animate it here. So let's just start by saying I want to open up this video, and I want to put handcrafted window boxes in here. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, and starting down here, I'm going to put a rectangle down here. And this rectangle will stay throughout the entire portion, or throughout the entire 15 seconds. So you notice that that made a shape layer, and the shape layer has controls down here. Under transform, if I open this up, I can change certain things, change the position of it, the scale of it, the rotation of it, the opacity of it. So if I wanted it to fade in or out, I certainly could. We'll do that in a little bit. So if I want this to be a different color, I can click up here in the fill, and you see your common color picker up here. One thing that you'll notice is if you don't see like a none in here. You can go to white if you want. You can go to black if you want. But to get none, you have to click on the word fill, and then that will allow you to select none here or change the opacity. I think I might drop the opacity. Well, no, I guess I don't want to because my photograph isn't large enough, but you could do that. Okay, so I think we'll leave black there. One thing that I will do is I'm going to fade these photographs in and out. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my composition settings here under composition. I'm going to set my background color to black as well. That way when I fade in and out of these photographs, there won't be a light colored white, and that black will match this black. Okay, so I have my shape layer, and this will be my rectangle. If I want to control click on this, I can control click and rename that. So if I want to call this background black bar, I can. Open this up a little bit so I can see my name. And this, I can change this as well. If I want to name this window box, again, I control clicked on that. You can't just double click on it because then it will just select it. Okay, so I have these two. Now the black bar has to remain in front of the window box. If I put it behind it, the window, or below it, the window box would be behind it. So the layers work a lot like the regular layers. Okay, so I'm going to click off and deselect everything. Click on my type tool, and I'm going to draw a box. And then in here, I can set my character, the weight, the size of it, and the color of it. So I'm going to choose, let's go with maybe just like a medium to a light gray. And then, oops, handcrafted, return, window boxes. Select all of this. And let's see if my typeface that I wanted. I found this typeface, Metropolis, that I thought was a kind of nice typeface. I want to use something quite a bit bolder though. This is a pretty common typeface these days, pretty popular. It comes from that unused, 1939 British war promotional poster, Keep Calm and Chive On, that everyone else has taken and used. So I can do extra bold, semi-bold. Let's use this extra bold, or black looks nice too, but I think I'll use the extra bold. A little more legible, and it holds the letter frame. Go into my paragraph here, and I'll center everything. And then I can go in here and just enlarge this if I want. Handcrafted window boxes. I have a few other words I'm going to have fade in and out here, so I will keep my type a little bit small so it fits in there. I think we're at, move this up a little bit. Okay, so now I can come click out here. With this selected, click on the layer, I can use my arrow keys and just shift this down. Make sure it's centered in there. Okay, let's go with that for right now. Handcrafted window boxes. So this window box, it'll open up. The scene here, the video will kind of just be exactly as this is. Handcrafted window boxes, just the way it is. And I'm going to go now, and I'm going to bring in another photograph along with a handcrafted feel. I have a couple more photographs here. One shows, oops. One shows it kind of being built with the screws, and the other shows it sideways, so I have to rotate that. Hand planing the edges. And then I have a couple of videos too that we can put in here. Adding a video is no different than adding a photograph in After Effects. So I think at this time I'm going to hold off because I'm going to add these individually. So let's go and get these photographs added. Okay, so this is my other photograph right here. I'm going to drag that down into the timeline, and we'll rename that too. That is going to be drilling. And did I forget to add the other one? I did. This one will be planing. Okay, so let's stop there. So I want to have this handcrafted window box fade in, fade out, and then I'll bring something in like handcrafted quality with these other two. So if you look in the timeline here, I have 15 seconds. So you kind of have to mentally map this out and say, let's take the handcrafted window boxes. That's probably only going to go until about maybe even just 1 second. And if I hold the shift key down, I can get it right on the line there. And this kind of shows where it's going to be visible. So these visibility bars are a helpful way to kind of plan everything out. The background black bar, that will stay behind or on there for the entire 15 seconds, so that will be visible the entire time. The window box, that I want to pull that back. What you can do is you can bring your timeline indicator over here and set it just to 1 second. Right here on 1 second. And then if I'm on this layer, I can do a couple of things. I can bring this back and shift, and it'll snap right to it. Or I can always option and then use your right or left bracket, and the right bracket will trim on the end, the left will trim in the beginning. So option bracket will trim those. So window box, I'm going to have stop there as well. So you can see that kind of goes off there. Those go out. And I need to bring this one, use my shift key and snap right to that. So now these will stay visible until the next box comes up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this drilling. And I'm going to zoom out like we did before. Make this a little bit smaller. I'm on my type tool up here, so I'm going to go back up here to my selection tool. Grab this, hold my shift key down, it'll draw into the middle. And then remember, I need to rotate this. So I'm going to click on my rotate. I'm going to click here inside of it and hold my shift key down. And that should allow me to reduce this. Go back to my selection tool, reduce that down, again holding my shift key. Wanting to see as much of that as possible. I think right there is probably good. Well, maybe we'll try and bring it down just a little bit more. All right, let's go with that. So now this one is drilling. So drilling, with my timeline set to 0, I'm going to option left bracket, and that will trim it right to that. I can also drag it and hold my shift key down and snap right to it. I'm going to pull this back a little bit as well. We'll just leave this out here arbitrarily because we'll see how many videos and stuff we have, and then we'll space these out. And then for planning, let's go out here to, let's go to about 2.5 seconds. And then I will take this one and trim that back, again with option right bracket to trim it there. Select this layer, and I'm going to option left bracket to trim that right there. And then we'll just bring this one back and let it hang out there. So you can see now as we scrub through, that's where we'll start. Then I'll go into this, go into this. Now the last one, we have to select this layer and reduce that as well. So reduce that down, zoom back in. Did I bring the same photograph in twice? I did. So we'll just take this one, delete that, and go back up here. Oh, I did just bring that same one in twice up here. My mistake. Oops, I want this one gone. So now I'm going to go back here, grab this drilling, bring that in. Now I can bring this back down here. I mislabeled this one too, so we will control click on there, and we will call this, now let's see now. Yeah, so this one is planing, and this one is drilling. Okay, so now we'll go back to the end of this one. The timeline will snap to the end of that as well if you hold your shift key. Select this one, option left bracket, and then we'll just bring this one in. Oops. Oh, the little mountains down here, small mountains, large mountains, they will zoom in on your timeline for you if you want. So I must have accidentally bumped that earlier. Or I guess maybe I closed the window and that's what made it smaller. So I need to grab this. We'll pull this in somewhere over here. Okay, so this is drilling. So it will go from the window box to kind of the handcrafted planing, handcrafted drilling, and then we're going to go into, we'll probably go into something like with handcrafted, showing a video of me carving the front of it, which is these little kind of flowers in here. So, all right, so I guess the next thing we can do is let's go back here. And since I want this to switch from handcrafted window boxes to handcrafted quality, I'm going to take this window box, or the type here, and I'm going to duplicate that. And then I'm going to put this below it. And then in here, if I double click on this layer, I can just, actually I guess I don't need handcrafted, I want to keep that, but I can put quality in here. Oops, I better turn this other layer off so I can see how to spell this right. Handcrafted quality. So now I have this layer here, handcrafted window boxes, and that will change into this other layer. Now all I have to do is grab this. I'm going to put my timeline right here on the end on 1 second. I'm going to grab this and move the whole thing over. Hold my shift key down and it'll snap right to that. So now you'll see it'll go from handcrafted window boxes at 1 second to handcrafted quality. All right, now don't worry too much about these transitions. We're going to go in and ease all those in and fade those in later. Right now we're just setting up the timeline with the spacing for all of our elements. Okay, so handcrafted quality, I want that to come, geez, probably way out here to like maybe 12 seconds. So I'll take this, and on this layer, if I select it, I can extend that all the way out to my timeline just by clicking that option right bracket. It's for trimming, but it will also extend it. It'll put it wherever that is. So now that handcrafted quality will come in here and it will stay this entire time, stay visible. Okay, so about right here now I want to start a video. So I'm going to grab my first video. And in this first video, I have, I think, about 25 seconds here in. That's where I want to start, about right here. So this is me carving, and I don't want that to go too long, just a few seconds. So I'll bring that in, and drop that in here. And I'll drag this into my timeline. And we'll rename that. And we'll call that carving video. All right, so that is going to show up right here. So I'm going to, with this selected, now this is a little bit tricky because I'm going to turn everything off except for my video. So now I can kind of look through here and I can play through that video. See how I'm kind of scrubbing through the video until I get to that 25 seconds. The video is really big. It's quite a lot, or quite a bit longer than our 15 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this and I'm going to close it up. It will only play what is kind of the bright green here. Then if I grab this in the middle, I can move this over. See, it just takes all that footage that I'm not using and just pushes it kind of off the timeline. So now I can come back here and I want to go about right after I pull that mallet out, right here. Okay, so now I'm going to use my Option left bracket and trim it right to that point where I want to start. I'm going to pull this whole thing back by clicking on the green. Notice when you click there too, you get those little 4 bars to show you that you're dragging the whole thing. I'm going to put my timeline indicator right at the end here, drag this back, hold my Shift key again, and it'll snap right to the end there. So when this, I have to make this visible, when this goes, the drill goes away, the video will start playing. So the video really is treated a lot like a photograph. So as I move through here now, you see I'm going to let that play for a little bit, carve it. There's quite a bit of video here. I don't think I'll need the other two. I think I'll just run through some of this carving. One thing I should also tell you is there was like a radio playing in the background and it's me kind of hammering. So I'm going to turn this little, see right here, it's the sound. It's showing me that there is audio in there. I'm just going to turn that off just by simply clicking on that little sound icon. So now the sound will no longer play. So now what I need to do is I need to go back in here and I need to find kind of where I want to end this. Yeah, maybe I will have a little bit of room for one more video. Let's just clip. No, that plays too slow. That's fine. Let's just go out here to 12 seconds. And with this selected again, I'm going to do Option right bracket, and it'll trim that video to stop playing right there. So now what I want to do is I want to bring that window box back in at the end. And then we'll fade back into, on the bottom, I'll put my website. Something pretty simple. So I'm going to find that same video. You can see the little preview up here. Or I'm sorry, the same image. I'm going to bring a new one down here and just drop a second one in here. I'm going to rename that Window Box 2. You can name it Window Box at the end, whatever you want. And with this layer selected and my timeline right at the end of the video, I'm going to Option left bracket, and that will trim that so that it only starts right here, and it will play all the way through to the end. So my video should stop here, and then it will go into my window box. Now, thinking about this, I could have just taken this window box, and so I don't have to reduce it and everything. I think I'll do that. I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to take this window box layer, and I'm just going to duplicate it. I already named it Window Box 2. Put it down at the end. Move this over, let's see, right to the end of the video. Again, holding my Shift key down. Move the timeline indicator right there. Move this over, hold my Shift key down. It'll snap to there. And then I'll just pull this over until the very, very end. I'm actually going to put my timeline indicator right at 15. Did I make that smaller again there? And then right at the end, and then I'm going to select this layer and then Option right bracket to bring it right over, way up until the end. Okay. Okay, let me double check my composition settings. Okay. And then we should be all set. All right, so I have everything kind of laid out the way I want it. I'm going to have this come in. Oh, I don't yet, do I? I need to take this first layer, handcrafted, it doesn't matter, I can do handcrafted window boxes or handcrafted quality. I'm going to duplicate that layer again, move that way down to the bottom, and I also need to find my background because that needs to be behind everything. Pull that way down here. Okay, so now my handcrafted window box is here. I'm sorry, I put this in behind everything. It needs to be in front of everything except for the type. So I guess I need to put my type back up here. And then when I get over here, I'm going to put my timeline indicator right where I want this I'm going to put my website up here. I'm going to move this over, my visibility bar, use my shift key to snap to there, pull this over, and put my timeline indicator way over to the end. We can option right bracket that right to the end. So now with this last layer, if I double click on that, I'm going to just take all of it out and I'm going to put Windhill Woodworking.com. Looks like I'm going to have to reduce this down a little bit. And maybe I could put in there, if I could type here, visit us at, and then a return. There. So I like that. I think we'll move this down just a little bit. Just to center that. So this is kind of my end promise, call to action. We could also do something else that we could do. See our handcrafted quality. All right, I'm having a little bit of trouble with my shift key here. There we go. See our handcrafted quality. And we could open this up a little bit. Maybe the top of this is just a little bit smaller. And then maybe we, in paragraph, under character, we could increase the size of our lighting just a little bit. All right, so see our handcrafted quality at windhillwoodworking.com. Okay, so we kind of have everything laid out here in our timeline. So we know what's going to happen. So I have handcrafted window boxes. It transitions from this into handcrafted quality. And then handcrafted quality stays there, but it transitions into the screw, and then it's going to handcraft into us being hand carved. You know, speaking of that, it might be kind of interesting to take handcrafted quality and put hand carved in here as well. So I can duplicate this layer, and with handcrafted quality, I'm going to rename that to handcrafted carving. And then I'll know that if I want my carving, when my carving starts, I will select this layer. We can drag this over here holding shift, or we could have also done option left bracket. And then we want this to go, it actually goes all the way to the end anyway. Now we do want handcrafted quality to disappear here. So we can pull this back and hold our shift key down, or we could have also option right bracket. So now we should have handcrafted window boxes. This switches to handcrafted quality, just switches the two pictures. Now it switches to, what did I do wrong here? Oh, I have it switching to handcrafted carving, but I never changed this to carving. All right. Oops. Okay, so now it'll go from handcrafted quality to handcrafted carving, and then it'll carve with a video in there, and then at the end it will transition to see our handcrafted, I spelled that wrong, quality at windhillwoodworking.com. So let's go back here, put our D back in there, handcrafted quality at windhillwoodworking.com. Okay. So let's kind of see how that looks. I'm going to put my timeline indicator right at the beginning and hit the space bar, and it will play through. And then that's the end of the video over here. That's what will remain at the end, kind of our call to action and getting them to come to our website. Okay, so a couple of things. I did turn the sound off when I was carving, and I did that on purpose because I'd like to put some sound throughout the entire piece. So let's hop over to bensound.com. bensound.com, a nice website that has royalty-free music. And you can search for really anything you want in here. They have acoustic, folk, electronica, urban, groove, you name it. I suppose maybe a folky music might sound good. Jazz is kind of nice too if we can find something that's kind of slow. Let's just try some of these. You can just see some of these are for purchase, some of them are for free. Let's try this one. I don't like that one. Romantic. That one's not bad. A little bit slow. How about all that? Well, that's all right. I used that one before. Let's try acoustic folk here. How about something bright, a little bit happier? All right, we'll take that. I'm going to download this. One thing they do ask you to do is attribute here. So what I will do is when I upload my videos to YouTube, I always put right in the description, music from Bensound. And if I received or I got videos from, or the photographs from somewhere else, I'll put that on there as well. Okay, so that comes in as a sound file. It's an MP3 sound file, and all you need to do is drag it over here into the project window. By the way, I should point out while this is uploading that After Effects is really just a program that assembles all of your images and videos and sound clips, and it allows you to kind of lay them out and animate them in a timeline. It does not keep these in your After Effects project file. What it does is it links to them, kind of like you do in Illustrator or in InDesign. So you need to keep all of these files with your After Effects file. Now with that in mind, I should probably save this too, right? Command S. So I'm going to save this, and I'm just going to call this woodworking video. And we'll save it to the desktop so it stays with all of these files. Notice it titles it with a .aep file, and that's your After Effects project file. So that'll show up out here, right there. So I need to keep that with these support files. Okay, so I brought my Ben Sound Funny or Sunny in here, and all I need to do is bring that down here. And this does have sound with it, so it's going to play all the way across here. So I'm going to bring my timeline indicator all the way to the end, and I am going to Option right bracket, and that will trim that because it's probably like 3 minutes or so. Okay, so that is the gist of how to lay everything out and make sure that you have everything in the timeline that you want. So if I hit my space bar again, you'll hear the sound now. Okay, that's it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause there so this video doesn't get too long. And in the next video, I'll come back and I will show you how to, on each of these layers, we're going to make smoother transitions. So this type fades out while the other type fades in as they overlap. This photograph fades out while the other photographs or the video fades in and they kind of go over that black background. And it's a lot smoother. And then I'll also show you at the very end how to take the sound file and at the very end have that just slowly get softer and quieter and fade off, which is a nice touch at the end. Okay, I will see you for the next video.